Today I am going to teach you your poem A Tiger in the Zoo. A Tiger in the Zoo. From the title, it is very clear that poet has tried to depict the situation of a tiger who is in a zoo. But along with that, he has tried to depict contrast of a tiger in the zoo with the tiger in its natural habitat. And this poem is written by Leslie Norris. The poet of this poem is Leslie Norris. And if we talk about theme, the poet has tried to explain over here the value of freedom to live. And secondly, he raises a question, moral issue, that animals must not be caged. Because if we think about human beings, how do they feel when they are kept behind bars? In the same fashion, it is wrong to keep the animals behind bars. Now, I'm going to read out this poem. First stanza I'll read out, and I think you are well aware that a bit difference is there in the reading of a poem and if we are reading a part of a fiction. So I'll read out first stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage. On pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. Now, stalks means walk slowly, and here he is referred to a tiger. Tiger who is in zoo, who is caged in a zoo. And stalks, as I have told you, that is walk slowly. And vivid means clear stripes. He stalks in his vivid stripes. He is moving slowly in his clear stripes. That means we know that actually the poet wants to make it clear the animal which we are talking about, that is actually a tiger. Stripes are there on his body and he is a tiger. And tiger, which is known to be the most ferocious animal, that is kept behind bars, that is in a cage. And after that he says the few steps of his cage, and he is moving how much? That is only a few steps of his cage. Why? Because we know that cage is having very limited area and he can't move any more. And we know that he is the fastest animal, but because of being in the cage he can't move fast, he has to move slow. And after that, on pads means his feet of velvet means soft, quiet, in his quiet rage, anger. And how he is moving? That is on his feet which are soft. And because of the softness of his feet, he moves quietly. He doesn't make any sound and he is not noticed by anybody. In his quiet rage, that is, he is angry, but even then he is quiet. Why he is quiet? Because he knows that he is behind bars, he is in the cage, and there is no use of showing his anger to anybody, because he can't bring any harm to anybody. He can't resist for what, for in which situation he is. And after explaining this stanza, I want to tell you about the rhyming words and rhyme scheme. Now here, rhyming words are, as you are well aware, that last words of each line in the stanza we are to take as rhyming words. Here are stripes, cage, quiet and rage. Now stripes ending sound is different from that of cage and quiet is also different, but rage, that is rhyming with cage. So for stripes, to decide rhyme scheme, I'll be giving small a, I'll allot cage small b and quiet small c. As cage and rage are having same rhyming, so I'll give rage also b, small b. So our rhyme scheme will be, that is A B C B. Okay, and after that, if we talk about poetic devices, here are two poetic devices, alliteration and repetition. In this poem you will find, I'm talking about only this stanza, rest you are to find out on your own. And what is alliteration? Alliteration, we say that in whenever same sound is repeated in nearest order, then we say there is alliteration. Like over here, stalks and stripes, if we'll see, first sound sir and sir is being repeated in nearest order. That's why we say there is alliteration. There is alliteration. And if words are being repeated, words or sentences are being repeated in nearest order, then we say there is repetition, as you can find in third and fourth line of this stanza, quite and quite are in these quite word is repeated, so we say there is repetition. Repetition, alliteration and repetition in this first stanza, two poetic devices we are finding. I hope it is clear. And after that, let's move to second stanza. In first stanza, we have found that poet has exhibited the situation of the a tiger who is in a zoo. Let's see what's in second stanza. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where plump deer pass. And after reading this stanza, we come to know that here the poet has depicted the action, the situation of a tiger in forest, not in zoo, in forest. How do a tiger in the zoo spend its life? He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass. Lurking means hiding. Now a tiger, which we find in forest, normally what happens, we find it hiding in shadow. With shadow, sliding through long grass. Sliding means moving. We can find the tiger moving in long grass. Long grass, shadow. Shadows, it can be of trees, bushes and long grass also, and we can find him moving through the long grass because he wants to hide himself. Why he wants to hide himself? Because he has found what? Near the water hole where plump deer pass. He is near the water hole, that is near a river. In the forest we find river, water body, that is river, and deer is normally found plump deer. Plump means that is young and fleshy. Deer is normally found near the river coming for drinking water, or it can be passing through that part, moving anywhere else. So when the tiger, he finds a plump deer close to the water body, that is water hole, river, then hideously it moves slowly through the long grass for what? That is to attack on its prey. And this is the way a tiger in the forest act. Now here he is free to move, but in zoo we know what happens. He is moving in a limited area. Now let's move to the third stanza. If we talk about here rhyme scheme, you can find out in second stanza, shadow, grass, hole, pass. Again A, B, C, B. Now third stanza. Let's find out whether it is about the tiger in the zoo or in the forest. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, wearing his white fangs, his claws. terrorizing the village. He should be snarling. Snarling means showing his teeth. Around houses. Houses, which houses? At the jungle's edge. Jungle's edge, that means jungle's edge, that is at the end of the jungle. At the end of the jungle, there must be some village and there must be built some houses, and he is snarling over there. Snarling, show his teeth. Showing his teeth, that means he is intended to terrorize, to frighten the people living in those houses in that village which is settled at the edge of the jungle, at the end of the jungle. Bearing, making uncovered or showing his white fangs again, white teeth. His claws, sharp nails of feet. Terrorizing, that is frightening, frightening the village. And with the intention to frighten the people living at the edge of the jungle, he he uncovers, he shows his white teeth and his sharp nails to the people of the village. So his intention here is to terrorize, to show that how ferocious he is, how much harm he can bring, how he can attack on them and make them his prey. And again you can see that it was here the poet has tried to depict the action, the way of life, of living in a jungle of a tiger. And here you can see this stanza again was related to the life of a tiger living in the jungle. Now next stanza, but he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. But he is locked. Again, from here we come to know that it is depicting the life of the tiger in the zoo. What type of cage it is? But he is locked in the concrete cell. Concrete, that is cemented, made of cement. Cell means prison. His strength behind bars. Behind bars, that is caged. He is caged and his strength he can't exhibit, he can't show because he is kept behind bars. He is in a cage. And stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. And what he can do over there? Only he can move in the limited area of the prison, of the cage where he is kept. And he is ignoring, showing no interest in the visitors who are coming to see him in the zoo. Why? Because he knew that he can't make them his prey. He can't attack on them, and that's why he is not showing any sort of interest in looking at them or showing his teeth or showing his nails or to frighten them. In last stanza, let's see what happens, whether it is for the tiger in the zoo or in the forest. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Now he hears, that is a tiger hears the last voice at night. Now day has passed, at night what do? He hears last voice at night. Which voice? That is of the patrolling cars. Patrolling cars, that is of the police cars. And because we know that at night patrolling cars, police cars, they move around in the zoo to find out everything is well, whether the animals are kept upright in the cages. So only that thing he can see over there. And after that we find and stares with his brilliant eyes. Stares, that is he is staring. He is staring, looking angrily with his brilliant eyes. Brilliant eyes, bright eyes. Why those eyes are bright? Because those are filled with anger. At the brilliant stars, shining stars. Why? Because those are in contrast to his situation. What contrast? That is, he is behind bars, whereas these stars are free, freely shining in the sky, in the open sky. So here poet has tried to depict contrast between the situation of this caged tiger and free stars. So as I have told you, poet has tried to depict that how much important is freedom to live. And secondly, animals must not be kept behind bars. They must not be caged. So this was all about your poem. Thank you very much. Thanks.